Hey, Dan here with Dreams Around the World, and in this video we're talking about type compatibility. Now if you don't know what I'm talking about here, we're discussing Myers-Briggs personality types and how different types interact and how to use this to figure out the right partner for yourself, whether that's in business or your personal life. And we also want to explore the question of, can you break these rules? Because in my own case, and this is actually the inspiration for this video, is I'm tremendously breaking the rules. I am an ENFP type, which is a type kind of notorious for some pretty heavy weaknesses, which is actually how I first got into Myers-Briggs. I had a small business and I was trying to figure out the right people to hire to offset these weaknesses. Things like organization, project management, accounting, having someone to handle that so I could do the things that I do really well. Now, where I'm breaking this rule right now is that I'm an ENFP and I'm also dating an ENFP very, very happily. And so far have been able to break the rule of type compatibility with a lot of success. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the video in terms of how you might be able to break these rules if you went and fell in love with an incompatible type and how you can make that relationship work. So I first learned about type psychology in the business world. And there's different views on compatibility. There's a few ways you can look at it. You can look at basically a scientific theoretical analysis of, okay, if this type is this way, then they should be compatible with that type. And there's also looking at things like marriage success rates. What types have the best success in terms of marriages lasting and that kind of thing. So what I've actually done for readers of my books, as well as I'll open it up to you as a viewer and hopefully subscriber here on YouTube, is I took this information and kind of combined it all and put together a compatibility chart. So you can see, okay, here's my type, who are the types that I'm most compatible with, who am I kind of in this gray zone in between that it could work, could not, and who are the people I should totally avoid because it's going to be a nightmare. So I'll have a link below and you can download that for free. Anyhow, so there's different ways to look at type compatibility. But what's interesting about it is that it's the same compatibility list for business partners as it is for spouses or romantic partners. And I think part of this is that the people originally doing this research were treating marriage a little more like, a business relationship. We get together, we have a household, we have 2 cars, we raise our kids, continue this cycle. And not necessarily about having a truly fulfilling, happy relationship, right? Aside from the economic side of things. So if you're a personality type that tends to be more creative, disorganized, spontaneous, the science here would tell you to date someone who's a little more the opposite. They tend to be more organized, more structured. They're going to help keep you focused a little bit and handle the things that you don't want to be doing so that you can keep being that creative, spontaneous, fun person. And in theory, you will help the more structured person be a little more adventurous, have more fun, get more out of life. Because someone who's more structured and a little more averse to risk, that doesn't mean they don't enjoy risk, they don't enjoy adventure. It's just that they're not necessarily wired for it naturally in terms of they're not going to get themselves in those situations. So if you're more that type, you can pull them into those more adventurous situations that they wouldn't otherwise get into, and they'll actually really appreciate that. So that's the general logic with compatibility. But what I want to ask you is, do you think it's possible to break these rules? And most specifically, to date someone in your own type. So you have 2 of the same type dating together. And this is what I would love your response in the comment section here is, have you had experience dating your perfect match? And how was that? And have you had experience breaking the rules? And as well, how was that? If it worked, how did you make it work? If it failed, why do you think it failed? What I have found in my own situation in terms of an ENFP relationship is that it's really important to think about your weaknesses. So when you learn your personality type, you learn about your weaknesses. And if you're not dating a partner who's going to help offset those and actually will have the same weaknesses as you, then you really need to be aware of what those are and how you can compensate for them in other ways. So I'll give you an example of that in my own relationship, being 2 ENFPs who are both quite creative. She's an artist, I'm a writer and a, YouTube video guy, kind of creative, I guess. That if we were to raise a family at some point, that we would want everything handled. like in terms of the organization, household side of things, not having to worry about money, not having to have these stresses in terms of organizational things, because we're both really bad at those. And in my view, having a little bit of expertise in this, that looking forward, that if you had two ENFPs who were both struggling, had not found their focus in life, were kind of changing directions all the time as ENFPs tend to do, and had some concerns about money, then that relationship would have a ton of stress and would probably fall apart. But if you have two ENFPs who kind of have their stuff together, then you have an opportunity to make it work, because you can look to hire a maid, have an assistant in your business, have these different things handled so that your relationship can be more about the really good things, your strengths together in terms of having adventures, inspiring each other's creativity, pushing each other in terms of going after your goals, that kind of thing, and not get bogged down in your weaknesses. So whatever your type is, I think this applies, is that you need to be aware of your weaknesses, and if you're trying to break these compatibility rules, you need to be even more aware of your own weaknesses and your partner's weaknesses, and think ahead, think strategically. Don't just let things happen, get into fights, let things fall apart. Think about what could happen, what could be the downsides here, and then sort of design your relationship accordingly so that you don't have to worry about those as much, and you can be designing the relationship you want rather than just settling for kind of how it turns out. Now, as I hinted at, despite being a bit of an expert when it comes to personality types and having quite a lot of experience with the business world and compatibility there, I am not claiming to be an expert in this, and that's why I want your feedback. So again, in the comments section, let me know what has been your experience with dating and with types. Has it always worked out when you've dated the perfect type? What have you found that's worked well for you, and what have you found that doesn't? And let's help each other out and share our experiences here. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this video useful. If you have, do subscribe to catch more videos in the future about type psychology, life design, and just generally being more awesome.